recording. First thing, we remember, right, how we can write a function and call a function in JavaScript, right? I mean, it's like function keyword and then some a name given to the function, then parenthesis, then in curly braces we write something. Sudo log I am inside a named function. This is how we create a function, and then calling the function is simple, like name of the function and with the parenthesis. And then when we run this, we get this. And we are if we are using any parameters inside this parenthesis, then we can we can just name the parameter. I mean, we can name anything as a parameter, and then can go ahead and like square 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 equal to num and num. Okay. And then we print, sorry, this square, and then give a number here. Yeah. So we remember till here, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, actually, I wanted to. Okay, no worries. Okay. Great. Uh, have you come across return keyword? Any of you, have you come across a return keyword in Java or any other programming languages? Anyone of you, have you come across return keyword in any of the programming languages if you are learning the return keyword? There is a keyword named as return which we use in functions. Have anyone come across it or heard about it?
Yes, Ashish.
Okay, what does it do?
It will return I can say that return value like a function return type or whatever we call exact term.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, that is very technical. Okay, let me explain in a simpler manner what exactly return is in a simpler manner. Okay, let's say any of your close ones have asked you, um, can you prepare something? Can you prepare something? I mean, can you prepare a special dish for me? So, what will you do? Anyone, I mean, if any of your close one has asked you, can you please prepare a dish for me, special any new special dish for me? So what exactly you will be doing?
Like we will think what should we need to make some dishes or
Okay,
something, and after
let's say anything, I mean noodles or anything or yeah,
yeah,
any.
then we will prepare. We will collect all the ingredients and
uh,
everything.
uh,
So yeah,
hmm.
and after
Okay,
that we will make that dish.
okay, where exactly you will be preparing it? Where exactly you will be preparing it? I mean, the dish is prepared where at your home? I mean, which place?
In the kitchen.
Kitchen, right? Okay. Now, here you're doing some task, right? Here you're doing some task, and that task is done in kitchen. Okay. So, method is also the same way. Method, the complete method is a kitchen, and the task that you're doing, the task, I mean, it might be preparing a special dish or something, anything it might be, that is a task which, that is a code which is written inside the method. So here kitchen is a method, the complete method, and the task which you're performing is the complete code. I mean, is the steps which is written inside that code. Okay, till here we are all clear, right? Till here we are all clear.
Yes, Ankush.
Okay,
Yes.
now coming to the return word. Okay, now coming what exactly return does. Okay, now they asked you to make a dish. Okay, you prepared a dish. Okay, and it's all done. Now when they will ask, okay, when they will ask you, like, can you please bring that dish to me? Can you please bring that dish to me? That is where you're returning something outside the method. I mean, you're returning something outside the method. This is where the return keyword comes into picture. Like, if the return keyword is not used, if the method doesn't want to return something, then you just prepare the dish and keep it inside the kitchen. Keep it inside the kitchen and the work is done. But when someone asks you to bring that dish back, so the outside of the kitchen, that is where you're returning something. I mean, you're prepared, your task is done, but that task you're returning outside. So this is a more simpler way, I mean, more real world example I can say, where the return keyword can be understood. Same way, my screen is visible, right? Okay, here now, what exactly name function, I mean, what exactly we are asking. We are just asking this function print to print the square of this number. We're just asking it. Okay, we are not asking it to return to us, or we are not asking anything. We are just saying, can you print the square of the number which we are providing in the parameters. So its work is done, and it's not. So here the work is completely done, and it we never asked, can you return it back to us? I mean, whatever you have multiplied, or the task that you have completed, that task, can you bring it back to me? Can you give it to me? That part is not done. That is the reason we are not using return keyword here. But when we want something to be returned from the function, that is where we use return keyword. Now I think this is how the syntax is. I'm pretty sure. Return square. Okay, and give here. Now right here, console.log. I'm pretty sure this should be answer. Mm, and okay, this, I think this is the one. Let's see. Let me comment this, and let's see. Okay, something wrong. I think. Okay, I need to place this inside. Uh, yeah, got it. Okay, so what exactly we are doing here is, we are asking the function. Okay, we are asking the function to do this task. Okay, the task is completed. Now after that, we are telling the function to return that task which you have done to outside of the function, which is outside the kitchen. That is where we will be using that, whatever the task which is done by the function, we will be using that outside the function. So what was happening here is, if I scroll up, uh, 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 mm, here, if I take this, okay, and paste it here. Now here, when I run this, see, this result part is giving us the calculation of simple interest. It's giving us, but when I try to do this outside, when I'm trying to get the answer outside, then it is saying undefined. Why it is undefined? Because we haven't used the return keyword here. I mean, we are saying the function, we are saying the function to do the task, but we never asked it to get it outside. We never requested the function to take that whatever you have done the task, can you please bring it to me, can you please bring it to me. That part was never requested in this function. That is the reason, that is the reason it is saying undefined, because I don't know what exactly you're asking. I don't know what exactly you're asking, what exactly you want me to do, what exactly you want me to bring. So that is the reason it is saying undefined. So what we can do in order to get the answer, in answer also, in order to get the value, what exactly we need to do here, we just need to add return key. Can you return the result to me? Can you return whatever task that you have done, that result can you return outside the function, outside the kitchen? Can you bring that dish to me? Now when you run this, see, you got it outside as well. Then you don't need it inside, you can just use it outside. Understood the written written funda, what exactly the written is all about.
Yes.
Okay. And in Java or in C sharp, when you're using written, when you're using written, then okay, let me write this here. Void m1. Okay. And let's say a comma b. Okay. C equal to a plus b. Okay. Huh. Return C. Okay. This is Java code. Huh? This is not JavaScript. Okay. This is Java. Okay. And then I created some object dot m1. Okay. And then got that function. Okay. Now here, what do you think? I mean, okay. I need to say one more thing here. I need to int and then int. Okay. Do you think this code will work, or some modifications that I need to do in here? I'm using return keyword for C, which is an
No,
integer
it's not.
variable.
It's yeah, it's not. It's not working actually. We need to pass some values as well.
Ah, no, no. Okay, okay. Let me pass the values as well. Okay, 2, comma 3. Okay, now it will return. Now it will run successfully.
No, 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 no.
Why? Why it will not run successfully? Will it run successfully or will it not run successfully? It will not run successfully. The reason being, here when we are using return keyword, okay, and when we are returning an integer, when we are returning an integer, then the return type should be int.
Int. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. It's
Okay.
void.
Yeah. So this is how Java is what they say, developed. Java is developed. But in JavaScript you need not to worry about that. It might be a number, it might be a string, or it might be a boolean, or it might be what else? Yeah, these three. If anything which we are returning, we need not to provide any return type here. We just need to say function. That is the only keyword. That is the only keyword which we will be using. Okay. We need not to provide any return type, any data type. Why exactly we need not to provide any data type? Can anyone answer? Okay, how do you create a number variable in JavaScript? A number variable. How do you create in JavaScript?
Like
Hmm. Let
let a equal to
hmm.
whatever.
Anything, right? So here this is a, sorry.
Yes, a equal to any
Any
number I have
value.
given.
Okay. Now, how would we create a string variable? How do we
Let
create a string? Let.
let be equal to double coded.
Mm, anything, right? Okay. Yeah.
Rectangle.
So here, do you see anywhere we are specifying the data types? Like if it is an integer, then we are saying int. For string, we are saying string. No, right?
No,
Same. That is the reason we don't provide a return type when we are using a return keyword in the function, and it might be a number, string, or boolean. We don't provide a return type because when we are creating a variable, we do not provide any data types. Same way, when we are also going with the function creation and using the return keyword, we need not to provide any what they say data types. It might be anything. The return type might be anything, but we need not to provide it. Understood? Now, coming to the second point. Okay, third point. Sorry, third point. Okay, I've said return result. Okay, so it returned a result. Okay, now I'm writing something here. Okay, let me copy this. Write something in here. Function, function, the simple interest. Okay. Now tell me, okay, will this line print or not? Will this line print or not? Okay. This line, yeah, no, correct. This line will not print. The reason being, okay, let me run this. Okay. When we say return, okay, when we say return, like I'll give an real world example again. Now you have brought the dish outside the kitchen. You have brought the dish outside the kitchen. Okay, you have done. The job is done. You are outside the kitchen. The job is done. Now, whatever the task, whatever the task that is asked to you to be done, you're not inside the kitchen anymore. So you cannot do it. You're completely outside and you're relaxing. So, in the same way, when we say return keyword, the code ends here. I mean, when we say return, it will return and it will end the function task. It will end the function task, and whatever the code is written after the return keyword is ignored, is not taken into consideration, is not at all taken into consideration. Now I'll copy this and paste in here, and then I'll now tell me, will this line prints or doesn't print?
it will be print.
Correct. Why?
It
Because
inside that return value.
yes, correct. So you're still inside the kitchen. You're still inside the kitchen. Let's say you have been asked to make noodles, okay, or something, okay, or sandwich, okay. Now, at the same time, you have been asked to, get the sauce as well, sauce or ketchup as well, along with it. So you're still in the kitchen. You're not coming. You haven't come out of the kitchen. So this task will be done. This task will be done. But if you're already out of the kitchen, then if you're asked to do something, sorry, it will not be done. Okay, I mean, yeah, in a in a real world example, I mean, not all the time, but yeah, if we say it in, if we try to compare this with
Compare.
a, yeah, compare with it, then this is how, after returning, after we use the return keyword, whatever the code that you have written after the keyword, after the return keyword is completely ignored. That task will not be done. Understood? Return keyword and I mean, why don't we use the data type when we use the return keyword in JavaScript? All this, all good till here?
Yes.
Yes, Ashish.
Great. So let me clear this. And parameters, we can use single parameter, we can use multiple parameters, and like we did for the simple interest, and also we did on Wednesday, like where we join first name and last name. So in that way we can do it. Okay, now coming to different types of functions that we can create in JavaScript. Okay, first let's go with named function, which we were creating all the time. Okay, this is how a named function, I mean, uh, I can place it in a variable. Okay, that is different. Let me take this as of now. Let me take this out. And let's do one thing. Let me copy this. Okay, and paste in here. Okay, and then okay. So this is one way. This is a first way. This is the first way where we can create a function. This is called as named function, which is we are giving a name to the function. Okay, we are giving a name to the function. Okay, that is why this is called as named function. And you can store this complete function inside a variable. You can store this function inside a variable, and you can call that variable as also as in order to call the function. This is another way. Okay, I mean, if you don't want to call the function, I mean, it's okay if you want to call the function, that is completely fine. But if you want to call, if you want to store that function in a named, in any variable, and then call that particular variable, then you can also do that. This is also fine. Okay, this option is not available in Java. I think this is not available in Java. Nah, it is not available in Java or C Sharp. Only in JavaScript you can store the complete function in a variable, and you can call that variable as well using the same parenthesis. Okay, you have to use parenthesis, uh, because whenever a method is used or called or created, we need this parenthesis. This is the syntax which shows that this is a method. This is a method. Understood?
But named function is a variable, right? So
Yeah,
why we are putting that parenthesis?
because what is stored in name function?
It's function.
That is the reason we use parenthesis, because we are calling the function.
Still, it is a variable. We will put that parenthesis,
Okay,
right?
okay, one day. Okay, let a equal to 10. What is a here?
It's a variable.
What is the value of a?
Integer.
10, right?
Okay,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, 10, right? Now when you say a plus a plus 20, okay, a plus 20. Now what is the value of a here?
10.
10, right? So here, named function, what is the value of named function? This complete function, right?
Yes.
And how
Yes.
can you call a function? You have to use parenthesis.
Parenthesis.
If you don't use parenthesis, see what happens. Let me do that too. Let me remove this and let me call it. See, it didn't call it. Okay, let me
Okay.
comment this too. Comment this too. Now let me run it. It didn't give any error. It didn't give any error. But it
Mm.
didn't understand. The JavaScript didn't understand like what exactly you're trying to call. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, okay, I am a variable. Okay, you're trying to call a variable, but there is a function stored in me. There is a function which is stored in me, and in order to call the function, this is the syntax. Because now this complete function name is named function. This complete function name, this complete function is called as named function. And how do you call a function? Using the parenthesis. But if you don't want to store it in a variable, that is also completely fine. If only rare cases, I mean, if we are doing complex coding or complex tasks, then you know if you if your function name is too lengthy, let's say if your function name is too lengthy, then you store in a different variable, then you call that function, or else you can directly call the function. That is also completely fine. No worries in that. Okay. But in order to call a function, we have to use parenthesis. If we don't use parenthesis, then it will not, JavaScript will think this is a property or something which it is not able to understand. It is not able to understand. That is the reason it's a, it doesn't give an error also. Why it doesn't give an error? Because you already created a variable. You already created a variable and trying to call that variable. But this, in order to get this variable as function is stored in here, you have to use this parenthesis. If you don't use parenthesis, then this, especially the syntax itself, will not be correct in calling the function. So when a function is stored in a variable, you have to use parenthesis. Like when a variable is stored, when a value is stored in a variable, then this a is called as 10. So in the same way, I mean, the logic goes in that way. Understood?
Yes, Ashish.
Okay. Just remember, I mean, this is just a syntax, and why exactly they asked us to use this parenthesis. I understood your point. Like when complete function is stored in a variable, we need not to provide this parenthesis. But uh, this is how it is developed in JavaScript. I mean, if we don't use this parenthesis, then it will be confused. JavaScript will confuse. Like, are we calling a function? Or are we calling a property? Or we calling something else? Because see, property dot length dot 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 length. Okay, length. Okay, this is a property, right? Now dot sort. Okay, this is a method. Why this is a method? Because we are using parenthesis. Here we are not using
Parenthesis.
parenthesis. Maybe the complete function. Okay, this sort, maybe the complete function has been written and that has been stored with a variable named as sort. Maybe it might be. Yeah, I haven't checked the backend. I mean, how exactly what code is written in this sort function. Okay, so there might be something written. The complete function might have been written in something with a different name, but that name might be very long, very very long. So they have, in order to make it easy, they have stored in a variable. This might happen. Okay, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't checked the sort function code, but this might be one of the reason. Okay, so this is a named function. Okay, now another function is, let me copy this and paste it here. This is anonymous function, which means the function doesn't have a name. The function doesn't have a name. Like if I see here, if I remove this and run this, okay, this is where we don't have, uh, rename this. Okay, anon anonym anonymous spelling, and an in anonym, uh, yeah, correct, maybe, ano oh anonymous m, yeah. So this is an anonymous function where the function doesn't have a name. This is a second way. This is a second way of creating a function in JavaScript. I mean, first way is named function where we give a name to the function. Second way is we don't give a name to the function. We just say function keyword, then parenthesis, then curly braces, and whatever the logic which you want to write, you can write it in this curly braces. But still, you can call the function. I mean, here, when, let's say, okay, here, let me do one thing. Let me remove this and see if I can call this anonymous function without, only with the parenthesis. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Okay, see, okay, this might be another reason where we will be, where we will be storing that in a variable. See, when I try to call this anonymous function, which doesn't have a name, it says function statement requires a function name. But I don't want to create a named function. I want to create an anonymous function. So how can we call this anonymous function? Just store it in something and then call that function. Now it will run successfully. See, now it ran successfully. So this might be the second reason. This might be the second reason why we store it in a variable. Understood?
Yes,
Hello.
Ashish.
Okay, great. So two ways we have seen two ways. Now the third way, the most used way, most popular way, and most recent development done by the JavaScript team, developers team, and we will be using this function. I mean, this way of creating a function, uh, mostly in what they say in Postman script, as well as in Playwright as well. In Playwright too, we will be going with this approach that is called arrow function. Okay, and how arrow function is created is we don't need this function keyword too. We just say equals to and a greater sign. So this is an arrow. This is a symbol of an arrow, right? This is a symbol of an arrow. So this is called as arrow function. Okay, this is the latest way. This is the latest way uh, of creating a function. And how can we call this function? Same. Store it in a variable, then call it. So three ways. We have seen three ways. Let me also this arrow function
So
again.
with the help of arrow function, like
Hmm.
we don't require function name as well.
Yeah, we don't need function keyword. We don't need function name. Nothing. See, this is an arrow function, and along with the parameter, along with the parameter. And here, what we use string interpolation. Why? Because we have used this dollar sign and curly braces. This is called string interpolation. Same in I think in C sharp, not in Java. I think I'm not sure in Java we have string interpolation.
No, it is not there.
Yeah, in C sharp we have it. So this is called string interpolation, which means using the dollar sign along with the curly braces and the variable name. Here we have a this is as called as parameter is called a variable name. So this is what we have used, and we have passed the value in here, and that is what is printed here. So three ways we have seen three ways in creating a function. Okay, let's do one by one. First, okay, let me do this function. Okay, and then console log. Right there. Okay, which kind of function is this? Is it a named function or anonymous function or
Anonymous.
anonymous, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, okay, which kind of function this is?
It's
Named or
named
named,
function.
right? Because we are giving a name to the
Yes.
function. Here, we didn't give any name to the function. That is the reason this is an anonymous function. Now, I removed the function keyword too. Now, which kind of function is this?
Arrow function.
Correct. So there are three ways of creating a function. Three ways in creating a function in JavaScript, and mostly popularly used is this arrow function only lately because after 2015, mostly the developers or anything, it might be in testing or scripting, we will be using arrow function because it is more easier way to create a function. I mean, we need not to remember function keyword or function name, nothing like that. But the only thing is, in order to call this function, we have to store it in something. We have to store it in a variable, then only we can call it, or else it will be difficult to call. I mean, there's no way to call it. Now we can call this. Got it? So we have to store it in a
Yes.
variable. So that is all about arrow functions. And there is one thing, you can also, if your code, if your line of code is very less, okay, you can remove the curly braces as well. Okay, there's no need of curly braces. You can directly say in this way. I mean, what we did is we placed it in curly braces, right? In this way, placed it in curly braces, but we don't need a curly braces. This is more simpler way. This is more simpler way. If your line of code is only one line, I mean very short, if your line of code is very short, your function task is very short, then you don't need curly braces. But I haven't come across this, because definitely if we are creating a function, the line of codes will be more. So it's always better to use, and it's good practice to use curly braces. It shows like where exactly your code starts and where exactly your code ends. This is the best way. But yeah, if there is only single line, then you can use this, use without the curly braces. Okay, great. Now, yeah, nested functions. As we have nested arrays, nested objects, same way we have nested function too. Okay, function. And what kind of function is this? What kind of function is this?
Name
Yeah.
function.
Correct. And if I now this one,
And no.
correct. And okay, let me use arrow function here. Okay, and let me take this function keyword. Okay, so in function, we are creating an another function inside. I mean, here the function curly brace starts, and here the curly brace ends. Okay, the parent function curly braces starts here and ends here. Okay, let me give some space here. Okay, now what we are doing is, okay, here if I want to call this function, then I have to place it in a variable. Now if I say let str, let me see if I can do this or not. Hmm, this is an str, right? Not sure. Let me try this. Hmm, run this. Yeah, it is working. So what I did here is, as I need to call this function, I stored it in a variable that is inside the function. Inside the function, I created a variable and I stored this complete arrow function in that particular variable. Now, then I called it, then it gave it. So here, what it does is, when this is the outer function, I mean, this is a parent function, okay, which starts here and which ends here. And inside this function, I have given some task to the parent function. Then I have created a child function, which is a nested function, that is an arrow function. And in order to call that arrow function, as it does not have a name, I stored it in a variable, and then given some task to that inside child function. Then inside the parent function, before ending, I called the child function. Then outside I called the parent function. Outside. Okay. So first, in order to call the child function task, we do it in inside the parent function. Okay. And then we call the parent function outside of the curly braces. I mean, outside of the complete function. Okay, let me run this and see this. Now, what I'll do is, let me try to call this outside. Let me see what happens. Str. Okay, let me run this. See, this is not defined, which means this, the string, okay, the scope of this str function, the scope of this arrow function is inside this function. Inside, it is inside this function only. You cannot call it outside the function. I mean, the scope of this child is only inside the parent function. I mean, the task is inside only, you cannot call it outside. Let me try to do one thing. Let me try to use the return keyword here. Okay, return str. Let's see what happens. Okay, we are trying to return str, right? Yeah, let me run this. See, still it says it cannot be defined. If we even use, if we try to use the return keyword as well. Okay, I think I'm using it outside. Let me try to use it inside here. try here. Let's see. Still, see, still it is giving a okay. Yeah, still it is throwing an error. So whenever you're creating a nested function, whenever you're creating a nested function, and the child function should always be called inside the parent function only. And when we run this, see what happens. First, it is calling the outer function code. I mean, the parent function is printed first, then the child function is printed. Now, let me cut this from here. And
One
yeah,
second, Ashish.
yeah,
Suppose we are
mm,
writing that return str, right? So we are
mm,
storing that function, arrow
mm,
function to str variable, right? So
mm,
can
mm.
we pass that parenthesis after str, return str?
Okay, let me, yeah, correct. Good point. Let me try that too. Let's see if it does or not. Mm, okay, return str. Let me run this. No, still, nope.
Okay.
Okay, so let me take this back. What I was doing, yeah. Let me copy this, uh, cut this here, and paste it here. Okay, so I'm printing first. This is a task, then this is a task. Okay, let's see what happens. Still, it is printing the first parent one, then the child one. So always it does the first the parent task, then it will perform the child task. If I try to go ahead and cut this and paste it here too, still it does the same thing. Oh no, now it what it is now, as we are taking this, as we are taking this in the first place, so it is performing this in the first place, then it is printing here. So it is only the placement. We need to make sure where exactly we are placing our code. If we are placing before calling the child function, then it prints, even if it is later, even if it is after the child function declaration, after the function declaration, still it will print this one, then it will print the child one. But if we cut this and paste it here, then first it will call the child function output, then it will print the parent function output. So it is all about placing your code. I mean, how exactly you want to place your code, and what code you want to, what logic you want to run first, and then what logic you want to run later. So that is how you place your code, and that is how the output will be. So this is all about nested function inside a function. And you can create a named function, uh, anonymous function, arrow function. But when you're creating an anonymous function or an arrow function, then please store it in a variable, because you cannot, there will be no option for you to call it. In order to call that function, you have to store it in a variable. You have to, there's no other option. And we don't need any, what they say, return type, I mean, sorry, data type, when we are using return keyword. Okay, understood till here?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, let me do one thing. Let's do one thing. uh, okay, let's create a nested function, where it says the first task of the parent function, it will say adding two numbers. That will be the only print. Okay, but the child function, will do the logic. I mean, it will take two numbers, and it will add it, and it will return it outside the function. Let's see if we can return it outside the function or not. Okay, let's see if we can do it or not. Okay, so first I'll
Okay.
name this function as uh, addition. Okay, and then here I'll print console.log adding two numbers. So what this will do, this will only print adding two numbers, right? This will print adding two numbers. Now
Yes.
inside this, I will create a child function, and I'll create an arrow function. Okay, let um, logic equal to um, parenthesis, and then okay, here I want to take two numbers as a parameters. So what I'll do, I'll take a comma b.
A and B.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and here what I'll do is let
Let
c
C equal
equal
to A plus B.
uh okay, and then I'll say return
Return C.
right. Okay, now let's see. Okay, yeah, yeah, correct. Now here I can call that function. Okay, I can call this function, which is a child function. Let me give some spaces. Then I'll call the parent function.
Hmm.
Okay, now will this work? Will this work?
No.
Why?
No, it will not work
Why?
No.
because
Hmm,
Because value is not in there.
yes. So let's give some images. Okay, now
No.
yes,
still no. Why? Why no?
Logic function is needed addition.
Yeah, that we are doing, right? We are doing here.
yes, yes,
It's
yes.
outside the Yes, right.
Okay.
Outside the child
Mm,
outside logic function is needed. Actually, logic function is inside its child block, right?
mm.
Logic print is outside the child block. That's why I said no.
Okay. Now I think I am also missing some point here. Uh, actually, uh,
Okay.
I need to print. I need to use this because I need to print the result, right? So I need to say
Okay.
console dot log. Then I need to say result. Correct. Yeah. Now all good.
Yes.
All,
Yes.
okay. Let me run this. Got it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now what we will do is, as we said, return C. Okay, we said return C, and it did the logic and it gave us the result. Now I'll try to copy this. Okay, and I'll paste it outside. Okay, and I'll comment these two. Now, do you think it will work or it will throw an error?
It will throw error.
Throw
Error.
an error
Error.
outside the plug.
Yes. See, it said logic is not defined because the scope of this child method is only inside this parent method. We cannot use it outside. We can.
Outside it.
uh, Understood? Now all clear?
Yes.
Yeah, this is all about functions, and you can play around with functions. I mean, there are n number of ways where you can create functions. I mean, these are all like some examples. I'll provide this as a, count swap two numbers, and then count vowels in a string. This all are actually these are all tasks. If I explain, then I want you people to work on it, because it will be the same. I mean, in Java or C sharp also, when you go for interviews, they will ask the same questions, and same programming questions, and you use a different way of writing over there. I mean, you use if they say temp variable, use a third variable in order to swap two numbers, then you use temp variable as C. But yeah, writing of syntax will be different, but apart from that, the logic is all the same in all the languages. So, and then what else? Yeah, same here. I used adding. See, we returned and then we added. Here we haven't used a parent and child. I mean, only one function, and returned, and then we called that function, and we stored it in a variable, and then we console the variable. And the same for here. Let's and here, okay, what function is this? What kind of function is this?
Named function.
Named.
This one? No, no, no,
Named.
no, no. This is anonymous. Anonymous.
Correct. Anonymous.
Sure.
And what kind of sorry? This is a anonymous function, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, anonymous.
Yeah. And what
Yes.
kind of function is this?
It's
Arrow.
arrow function.
Yes. So here, see here we use. I mean, let me copy this. I think this will help when we don't use curly braces. Okay. Then we don't use curly braces. Okay. Here, what we did, we just wanted to add a b, nothing else. We just wanted to add a b. So that is the reason we didn't use any curly brace, because it's a short code. It's a very short code. We just wanted to add a plus b. So no use of curly braces, and then call that function with the values for the parameters, and then it will print it. See, so yeah, if your logic of your code is very less, I mean it's very simple and very less. Or you can say, there's one more thing. Yeah, this is also correct. Let mm, str1 equal to mm, first 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 name and then last name. Okay, then I say in this way. Okay, and then I say first name. Okay, plus give some spaces, and then plus last name, and copy and console.log. And here I give str1. Say, okay, how should I write in here? How should I write in here the values?
In a
Using,
string, like we need
yes,
to pass string as well.
yes,
Ashish and Naidu.
yes. So this is how you do it. Then run it. See? So we didn't use the curly braces because my logic is very short. I just wanted to add uh, first name and last name and bring out the full name. I can say arrow function value or full name is anything. I can write anything here. I just concatenated to one string with a variable. I mean with a function. I can say, yeah, with a function. Concatenated string with a function. Then I printed it outside. So if your logic is very short, then don't use curly braces. If your logic is longer, then please do use curly braces. It will be easy to read and understand as well, for you and for others as well. Okay. So three ways: named function, anonymous function, spelling correct? Yeah, anonymous function, then arrow function. Okay, these are the three ways. In three ways you can create a function in JavaScript, and mostly used even in API testing, even in UI testing, as I mean web automation testing as well. Arrow function is mostly used. Okay, so this one thing I wanted to tell. This is fine. Arrow function is fine. Normal function is fine. The rest operator, we don't need this actually. We will not be using this at all. This is especially for the. Okay, yeah, this one. Okay, this one. If if there is only, I mean, let's say if there is only one thing, uh, one value, and that is a default value. I mean, my first name is Ashish, so it is a default. It will never change. It will never ever change. So if you want that to be passed at a parameter, then you can directly give it in the parameter itself. The value can be provided to the variable itself in the parameter, and you can call that function. So here in parameter you need not to pass any value. Why? Because you are already giving the value in the parameter. In the when you're creating a function, that is where you're already giving a value to the uh, input parameter or argument, I can say. You are passing over there, so you need not pass it here. It will automatically pull from here. The value will be pulled from here and will be printed here. Now I can also say function number of planets. Okay, number of planets uh, in solar system. Okay, system, number of planets in solar system. Yeah, I should use I as caps. Okay, and then I say parenthesis, then I say console dot log, um, and then use the same thing here, and then copy this completely. No, not this one, sorry. Huh. Okay, yeah, the total is okay. Now tell me what I can write in this parameter. I mean, I want to give the value as well, because I know the number of planets in solar system. So I need not to pass any value when calling the function. I want to give it when creating the function only. I want to pass in the value for the variable. So what should I write in here?
Total equal to 8.
Yeah, total. Yeah, we can go with that. Total equal to 8,
8.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Now, so I'll pass the same total here. Okay. Now, this is a very big function name. Now, I don't want to call this complete big function name. So what can I do? What is the option do I have?
We will store in a variable, small name of
Correct.
variable,
Correct. NOP. Let's say NOP. Now I can call a function NOP with parenthesis.
and
And
parenthesis,
should I pass in the value in
semicolon.
this parenthesis? Should I pass any value in this parenthesis?
No.
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 Perfect. See, got it? So we, when we know something, and when we know that is the only thing that we want to print, that is the only task, not print, that is the only task that we want to do, and we have the default value with us, then you need not to provide it outside the parent when calling the function. Also, you can directly provide it in the parameters when creating a function. When creating a function, you can directly give the value to the variable. We can give directly value to the variable. Now here you might have doubt, like, why are we not using let keyword or const keyword here? The reason being, okay, when creating a variable in JavaScript, okay, when creating a variable in JavaScript, this is one way. Let a equal to 10. Okay, let a equal to 10. This is a one way. This is one way of creating a variable. We can also create a variable in this way. This is also valid. This is also valid. I mean, we need not to provide any. See, let me print this console dot log b. Okay, see, it printed. We haven't provided any data type, nor let, nor const, nor var. Still, we have given only variable name and then the value. So this is also a valid in JavaScript. That is the reason we don't provide let or const or var inside when creating a variable inside a function. We directly give a name to the variable and then we give a value. If that is a default value, then we give a value, or else we can just call it when calling the function. That is where we can give the value as well. Understood?
Yes.
All good?
Yes,
Yes,
Ashish.
Ashish.
Yeah. Any doubts? Any queries?
No,
No.
not till here.
Okay. Okay. So and see, okay. Now, how can we create an object? How can we create an object? Eh,
Let's
let's
and
let's
then the object name,
yeah, we say object name
and then we open the curly bracket.
and
For the
close bracket.
curly bracket, we put the objects inside the curly bracket.
Yes. Here in object, you can provide a variables. Okay. You
And
can provide
value
arrays, and you can also give functions.
for another
So
object inside the array.
yeah, we can also give an object as well. So in an object, you can have variables, you can have arrays, and you can have functions, and you can have another object as well. So object can be nested with variables, arrays, functions, and objects, another objects. So this we will be learning about this, because this is the most important thing, because this will be mostly you will be coming across when you're working with real projects. You'll not directly see an array, only an array. You'll not directly see only a function. You will see everything enclosed in an object. Everything, most of 99% of the things will be enclosed in an object. So if you understand how we can call a value from an object, your JavaScript life will be very easy. I mean, the scripting will be very easy. How can you call an object? How can you call a value or a property or a key from an object? By dot notation
Dot.
or
Yes, dot notation. And if it
Notation.
is a function, then we need to pass parenthesis.
yes, and yeah, function, yes, definitely we need to pass parenthesis. And there's a dot notation and there is a square bracket. You can also use square bracket in order to call the property, call the I mean key or properties from the, what they say, from the object. If so, please make sure that you understand the object thing. Object session, if you want to revise it, please do revise it, because we will be working on objects a lot. Functions, yes, they will come into picture, definitely they will come into picture, because why exactly we use functions? Because we don't want to repeat our code. When we have written something, add two numbers, and we have written a logic for it in some function, uh, then when later in our code, if we want to add two numbers, we need not to write that logic again. We just need to call that function, use that function, and your two numbers will be added and your work is done. So function is mostly I mean, it's a main thing why functions were created. Like, we don't want to repeat our code, we don't want to and there are two types of functions. One is inbuilt and one is user defined. Okay, so here console dot log. So here dot log, is it an user defined or inbuilt?
It's inbuilt.
Inbuilt.
Yes. And oh, and function add a comma b. Here, this is a user defined or an inbuilt?
It's
Is
user
it?
defined.
Yes, we created this function. Okay, it was not from the JavaScript, we created it. So that is all for today. Any questions, any doubts, any queries?
All clear. All clear,
Great.
Ashish.
Great. So please do
Thank you.
practice. You're welcome. Please do practice. I mean, the documents which I have provided, I mean, mostly the questions will be coming from there. And the programs, write programs, practice programs. Okay, write them multiple times. Understand the logic. Why exactly we are writing each line of code? Why exactly we are writing in this way? Why can't we write it in a different way? Or how more it's okay, yeah, yeah how more specific way, yeah, that will be, nah, not required. That is for developers, not for testers. Okay, why we are writing this in this way, and why can't we write it in a different way? That if these two can be understood from your lines of code, then you can crack any interview. It might be automation, UI automation, or API automation, in any language, in any language, because it's all same. You do the same function add creation in Java, same in C sharp, same in JavaScript, same in Python. This is what I'm saying from the first day. It's all, only the syntax will be different. Nothing apart, the logic will all be the same. Okay, all the very best and happy weekend. And yeah, that is all. Let's meet on the
Thank you,
Wednesday.
Ashish. Thank you. Happy weekend too.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Stop.
Ashish.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Sis.
Thank you.
And
And then,
Ashish,
yeah,
I
yeah.
have one I have one question.
Huh.
How much part is now remaining? Like
Let's say one more week of JavaScript, then we will be jumping into
okay,
Postman. Okay.
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 1 week
Yeah.
of job
Yeah, that is
and
the reason.
Postman.
Actually, I also wanted to finish it in a faster manner. That is the reason I wanted to take it on a daily basis, so that it will be.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just want to take it in short sessions, because everything should be understood, or else then later when we jump into some complex thing, or when we jump into scripting, if
Hmm.
some topic is not understood, then it will go
Yes,
top of our
definitely.
head. Yeah, that
Yes,
is the
yes,
reason.
yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah. So okay, after Postman, we will cover that CI/CD as well, right?
CICD. I'll try because I need to check CICD.
GitHub or
Git,
something.
GitHub, yes. GitHub and GitHub Actions, yes. But not Jenkins. I don't think so. Jenkins will be covered. But GitHub
Okay,
and GitHub Actions, yes. Yeah, that CICD will be covered. Yes, yes.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Good
Bye
night.
bye. Good night. Stop recording.